evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday edition of Speak Your Rhyme with Larry Cox. We've got a couple of days before election, and I've got two more election shows to go. And I'm excited about the election Tuesday, and I'm even more excited about these shows coming to a conclusion because it has been challenging. So tonight we're going to bring one of our favorite guests and candidates back on because there was a couple of things he didn't get to talk about last show, and we want to make sure he gets an opportunity to do that. So if you guys would not mind, without any further ado, let me bring on candidate for state court judge, Justin Kinney. Hey, Justin.
Good evening, Larry. How are you?
Doing good, Justin. Doing good. I had told the folks there was some things you want to talk about, but before we get into that, let's just so if anybody here happens to not know you, introduce yourself and tell them what you're running for.
Certainly. I am Justin Kinney. I'm a lifelong Rockdalian, and I am running for state court judge of Rockdale County.
That says it all. So let's say hi to some people real quick. Vuka Russo, welcome to the show. Mary Boysworth, welcome to the show. Charlotte Gellert, welcome to the show. Cheryl Moulton, welcome to the show. Lisa Lancaster, welcome to the show. Lisa, I see we found the link. I did end up sending you one personally here a little bit ago, and I hope that found you well. Clayton Orwig, welcome to the show. Jane Rail, welcome to the show. Cheryl Garcia, and I know Ben is there with you too. William Campbell, welcome to the show. Catherine Lynn, welcome to the show. James Corbett, welcome to the show. And James sat right down from me in a event the other day and James was heckling me, just so everybody knows. James was heckling me during the show there. Wouldn't he was ribbing me about some things. And Lee Wright, welcome to the show. And that's everybody right now. I want you guys to do me a favor. Share, like the show, and that way we'll grow the audience. People will see more recordings of this. We got 2 days to election. Anybody's on the fence, this is their opportunity to hear from Justin so that they can be pushed over the fence and decide to vote for him. Corliss Turner, thanks for joining us tonight as well. So, Justin, you and I missed a very important topic to you last time. We missed discussing the accountability courts. So why don't you go ahead and fill us in on what you think is important about accountability courts?
Surely. And Larry, I appreciate the opportunity. And it wasn't just me and you in our interview. I think it was a topic that was under discussed in every interview with any judge and also at any forums. And I think there is a misunderstanding or just confusion about what an accountability court is in the community in general. And so I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about what they are. So the nitty gritty of an accountability court is judges and courts realize that when a criminal defendant came through the criminal justice process, that there was a high recidivism rate, meaning that once they were released on one sentence, there was a very high likelihood that they would come back and reoffend and appear before the same judge. And so the cyclical occurrence, you would see the same frequent flyers coming before the courts. And you would have nonviolent offenders that had some underlying issue that was causing criminality. So instead of just the typical cycle of increased incarceration, increased fines, increased probation, and not getting anywhere and stopping the criminality, smart people got together and said, let's change this process. Let's figure out what the root cause of the criminality is. What is the criminogenic cause of the reason why somebody offends? And is it mental health issues? Is it drug use? Is it family issues? Is it unemployment, lack of education or access to healthcare? What is causing these people to offend? So we created a new model called an accountability court. Now we have several different types of accountability courts in Georgia. You have drug courts, you have DUI courts, you have veterans treatment courts, family treatment courts, and mental health courts. Those are the main ones that you're going to see. In Rockdale County, I don't know if anybody saw the press release, but Rockdale County has secured funding to start a veterans treatment court through the leadership of Chief State Court Judge V.T. McRae and Chief Superior Court Judge Nancy Bills. So in a few months, we will be starting up a veterans treatment court as well. So we'll have the 5 big contenders of accountability courts here in Rockdale County. And what the model does, if we see the frequent flyers, particularly let's take drug use, for example. What we know is that a person who is engaged in drug use, is addicted to drug use, is not getting any treatment in the traditional model of going to jail or prison. They're getting out and they're starting to they'll start to use again, and the 1-year sentence turns into a 2-year sentence. The next time we see them turns into a 3-year sentence. So what the accountability court does is say, you know what, we're not going to put you in prison. We want to keep you out of that pipeline. We think that you are redeemable. What we will do is put you on a very short leash, but on this side of the jailhouse. And what you will do is undergo drug treatment. You will be randomly and frequently tested to see if there's any continued drug use, and provide you any outpatient treatment that you need. Also sign you up provide you classes on how to manage your finances, how to conduct a job interview. Let's make you employable. Let's kick the drug habit and get you employable so that you are moving from antisocial behavior to pro-social behavior. And of course, there's a short leash and there are sanctions that are involved for failure. But what it does is provide the defendant an opportunity to redeem themselves, make themselves a productive member of society, kick the underlying cause of the criminality, become productive members of society.
Justin, and I've heard about the accountability courts too. And then what I've heard citizens concerned about them, and maybe you can explain how this works. Sure. Citizens are concerned that certain types of individuals shouldn't qualify for them, and they may not, but they're afraid that people who commit sexual assaults and felony assaults, they're afraid these people that commit those crimes may try to use those kind of courts to skirt the system and avoid jail time. So would you explain how that process works with those types of crimes?
And I'm glad that you brought me back on here to explain that those type crimes are not eligible for accountability courts.
Thank you.
These are non-violent offenders. These are non-sexual offenses. I mean, it's a niche group of individuals that would qualify to enter into these accountability court programs. So it is not an avenue for violent offenders to get released from prison quickly.
And that's what I wanted to make, because I knew that, but a lot of people are concerned that violent offenders and sexual predators could use this as a loophole not to go to jail. And then you say they are not eligible for these types of courts.
Absolutely not. Now, I will tell you that in my previous interview, I told you that I do a lot of criminal defense. And here is one of the issues that I have seen, but I don't know how well you can really stop it from happening, but there is a subset of individuals who would otherwise qualify for these accountability courts who do see them as an avenue of getting released from jail or prison, and get a probated sentence rather than having to serve time. And I've experienced it in my own practice. Those who enter into this program must do so with the understanding that you truly have to want help. You cannot use it as an avenue solely to get back home. And as I said before, get on this side of the jailhouse. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself back in jail or prison very quickly if you don't have an earnest desire to help yourself. You will, if you enter into this program, you've got a team of people that are in your corner, but you've got a judge who has to look out for not only your welfare, but the welfare of the community too. And if you are terminated for noncompliance of the requirements of the Accountability Court program, you will get yourself sanctioned and you will find yourself in prison. And I'll give you a brief story of a client of mine who was deeply entrenched in drug use and had cases in multiple counties, and all of it was attributable to drug use. I mean, we had burglary charges, we had theft charges, but we're breaking into places and stealing things to get things to sell, to make money, to buy drugs. So we could trace it all back to habitual drug use and drug dependence. But in talking to me, I mean, this was in the early stages of drug court in the county where he enrolled. But had me convinced, it convinced everybody of a truly earnest desire to get better, but it was not true. I mean, we expect there to be some setbacks with somebody who is suffering drug dependence. I mean, that's just part of the program. You expect people to test positive and have setbacks, but what you want to see is a decrease in positive screens and some sort of evidence that the treatment is working. Do we need inpatient treatment? But we want to see progress. Well, with this particular client, there was no progress. I mean, we escalated sanctions, inpatient treatment, and at the end of this process, he was still found with drugs on his person that he was not supposed to have. And he had 12 years hanging over his head of probation if he didn't successfully complete the drug court program. And it being a special condition of his probation to complete that program, he suffered a 12-year revocation, the remainder of his probation. And so there is a huge incentive to successfully complete the program most of the time, especially in felony situations. And so that sort of weeds out the people who don't want to put everything they need to into the program to successfully complete it.
So Clayton, I think, are the accountability courts under the purview of Superior Court or State Court or both? So is that going to be dependent on who starts it?
Sort of. So the Veterans Treatment Court, Judge McCray, he spearheaded that effort to get the funding and get that court established. So he will. My understanding is he's going to be the one presiding over that Veterans Court. It makes sense. He's a veteran himself, and so that's his passion. That's why he wanted to get that Veterans Treatment Court started here in Rockdale County. The DUI court is also under the purview of State Court. I imagine whoever gets elected in the position for which I'm running will be the one presiding over that. I believe Judge Bills presides over the drug court and Judge Wood presides over the mental health court here in Rockdale.
So you have a couple of these accountability courts that are in the State Court and a couple of them that are in Superior Court.
That's
so now this week in Rockdale, he does ask something are all of these volunteer, or do they voluntarily agree to participate in this, or are some of them sentenced to that? How does that work to an accountability court?
Sure. So it's entirely voluntary. I mean, the option is go to prison, or you are a good candidate for this particular program. We will offer it to you, assuming that you qualify. There's a screening process to make sure, one, that there's a need for entry into the program and a likelihood of success. I mean, as I was saying before, is there an earnest desire to get better, to accept the treatment and try to become or engage in more pro-social behavior? So
the success rate is based on the fact that the individuals are screened and you take the candidates who are most likely to succeed.
But they're more likely to succeed because they want to engage in the process.
That's right. So it's through the screening process that is determined, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Right.
I mean, because these programs cost money, Larry. So if you have somebody who doesn't want to go through the process, why are we going to spend grant money on them where there is somebody who truly wants to get clean or wants to correct antisocial behavior? Let's spend the dollars where we're going to get a return.
So through the process, we attempt to eliminate the fraudsters.
Yes.
That's my point. I mean, so the reason there's a high success rate is the screening process screens out individuals who would attempt to just use the program to their means and not be serious about completing the program.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think that's important for people to know why there's a high success rate. And Boo says this may be quite costly. So now, are all these accountability courts covered by grants?
There's grant money. There is some local funding and state funding as well. But Ms. Russo, the curious thing is actually these programs pay for themselves, and the economic benefit in total is positive. For in Rockdale County, according to the Council of Accountability Court judges, there is a cost savings for individuals to enroll in the program that you're not having to house them in jail. That is a significant cost of jailing somebody. So that in and of itself is a savings, even though you may be, let me find that number. I had it here. Yeah, total cost savings for a graduate of the drug court program is $25,921 per graduate. There's also positive economic benefit as well, because if we're engaged in antisocial behavior, we're not working, we have little money to purchase things that contribute to sales tax. We certainly aren't contributing to income tax. So there's a net positive once we get the graduate back into becoming a productive member.
Are they required to maintain employment if they're in a program?
Depends on the program. So the Veterans Treatment Court, Mental Health Court, a lot of times the participant has some sort of disability that prevents them from being able to work. So you not typically see the requirement to gain employment. The other courts, yes, there are. Let me find that stat for you. I just had it. Statewide, when we have folks enter into accountability court programs, we're expecting the average is 38% of those individuals are employed at the time of entry, but at the time that they graduate and they exit the program, that number jumps up to 92%. And this is fiscal year 2025. And
that would be if they were incarcerated, 100% not employed.
Correct. And so with these life skills that they're learning, I mean, the program is designed to get them to the point of employment and productivity. So that is, even though there is an initial cost, your return on investment is 3- and 4-fold the dollars that you spend on the program itself, just on the productive economic impact that a graduate now contributes to the society as a whole.
So Cheryl Moulton says that's awesome and a positive plus. So that is okay. Okay, Lisa Lancaster, do the participants pay a fee to be in the program, something like a probation fee, or paid by probationers?
I'll be honest, I honestly don't know. I think there may be a nominal fee, certainly be income based, but I honestly think they try to use as much of the grant money as possible so that it's not a burden on the participant itself. So if there is a fee, I believe that it would be as nominal as it possibly could be, because we don't want them to fail out because of non-payment.
Well, and then I know this, Justin, as far as when my years of dealing in prison ministry, a lot of the folks that would go back to prison would be violations because they would steal money to try to pay fees.
Yeah.
And we had another good question here. How long is a program? And that you're going to tell me that's dependent on the program. Probably.
It depends on the program and the participant. So if you're up in state court, I mean, there's only so much time unless you just have just a lengthy accusation where we can stack, 12-month sentence, a 12-month sentence, and a 12-month sentence. You're usually going to look 12 to 24-month program.
And then Alicia Johnson says it is usually deferred until later.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, Ms. Johnson. And I got a text that there are the fees. They pay fees to support the program as well. And so if I've had several clients go through it, but once they get to the program, if they're successful, I lose track of them for a good reason. They're not getting in trouble. So usually, we may waive fees initially, and then they'll start the fees once they get back on their feet and get employable. And I will tell you, the accountability courts, they partner with community stakeholders to find employment opportunities for participants in the program. And the good thing about that is that the program is reputable. It comes with the backing of Rockdale County Superior Court presiding judges stating, look, we think this person would be a quality candidate for you. And guess what? If he's not, he could be facing significant revocation of probation.
Justin, do you want to let people know why Miss Johnson may know the answer to some of these questions?
So Alicia Adams Johnson, she is your district attorney. And so she is very intimate with the inner workings.
Yeah, and that's I wanted to let you say that, because I know who Miss Johnson is also. So I wanted to make sure you know that. So I'm sure she's very familiar with that. So let's see. Let me see something. Here's something else. Somebody said something. I saw something here a minute ago and it disappeared. Justin, what else do you want to add about the accountability courts?
Well, see Alex's comment that he's worried about selection bias. And I mean, a state, again, that we want people to get through the program where there's going to be some benefit, that we want an earnest desire to get through it. Now, and to reach graduation. So I would give a few statistics on the different types of drug courts and the recidivism rates that we're seeing in Georgia. This is from Applied Research Services. They did pretty exhaustive review from 1990 to October 2025, released that report December 2025. And so your 3-year felony rearrest rates for adult felony drug court with court participants versus match comparisons, those who did not go through a drug court program, we see a 13 percentage point reduction in the recidivism rate. In mental health court, we see a 23-point reduction. At Veterans Treatment Court, we see a 25-point reduction. And DUI court, we see a 35-point reduction. So there's a huge benefit to the community as a whole, because we want safe communities. In order to do so, we need to stop criminality as best as we can. And this is just another tool that we have to do it. I mean, locking people up behind bars costs a significant amount of money. And would you rather have somebody, sucking money from the state and county coffers being incarcerated, or would you rather that money be used to rehabilitate the person to truly become productive and contribute to those?
And I do want to assert again, as you had said, sexual offenders and violent felony offenders are not eligible for these programs.
That's correct. And so we talked about drugs. We haven't talked much about mental health. And I've had numerous clients where mental health is an issue that contributes to their criminality. It obviously is causing them problems, but their mental health issue is not enough to get them to the point of not guilty by reason of insanity. But either they self-diagnose that, whether it's engaged in drug use, or they just don't seek any treatment, don't take medication accordingly, get in trouble, go to jail, and now our sheriff is the de facto mental health provider for a large chunk of the county. And so the mental health courts have stepped in, accountability courts have stepped in to get the necessary treatment, outpatient treatment, therapy, ensure that there's compliance with whatever medication has been prescribed, and there's the participant is taking that medication with fidelity as prescribed. And again, we have the short leash with a huge incentive over them a lot of the time. I mean, the mental health court in Rockdale County is in the Superior Court, so we're probably dealing with a lot of with felony charges. And so it's let's get an actual mental health provider or that defendant in front of a true mental health provider, get them all the treatment that's necessary, take it out of, as much as we can from the sheriff.
I think Alex, he did actually comment on here that for sure let's see, I think the only thing he's questioning, Justin, is the return on investment figures.
Sure. I was looking for that as I was talking.
And I do want to address the mental health issues so if there would have been a mental health court when my sister was having issues back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I might have had an easier time when I became her guardian conservator, right? But where there was not a court like that or a system like that in place when I was going through that process, it was very difficult for me to get her the help that I needed to get her, Justin. So I actually had to go through a process and have her institutionalized. And you being an attorney know how difficult that is. Yes. And I actually was able to accomplish that without legal representation. I did have legal representation myself. I represented myself. That was when I became 1-0. But I don't recommend it for anybody to try to do something like that on their own. I did not realize the feat that it was going to be when I went through it, right? But I did have some good friends at the time that were able to help me and guide me. And but I think a mental health court would have been very helpful because she did have scrapes with the law for trespassing and other minor things, right? And a mental health court would have helped identify that and would have helped I think document everything, and that process could have moved a lot smoother. Would I be correct in my analysis with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And to answer Alex's question, I got my finger on the stat. So the return on investment that we're talking about, Alex, is the cost to run the program versus the diversion savings of these people not being incarcerated. So for the Rockdale County Drug Court, the total of grant funds awarded, administrative and county matches were $322,691. The total diversion savings for Rockdale County Drug Court, based on the number of participants of 86, was $980,756. So that amounts to $3.78 return per dollar invested in the program. Rockdale Mental Health Court, this is based on 43 participants. The administrative cost for those 43 participants was right at 1.2. The alternative cost, had they been in prison, was right at 1.2 million. And so the administrative cost of $198,875.02, that amounts to a $4.96 return per dollar invested in the program. So that's where the calculation comes from.
So what kind of professionals are involved with the mental health court? That's from Bucher, Ms. Russo.
So they're going to be therapists, trained therapists. They're any psychologists, psychiatrists, any mental health provider. They're also going to be life skills, just like we were talking about in the drug court as well. So it's every professional that is necessary to make sure that we have fidelity of the treatment regimen. I mean, in every case is individually tailored. So whether do we need medication or is therapy sufficient? But you have an entire team of people that are, and there could be two different issues going on: mental health and drug use. So every participant is going to have an individually tailored program. And so you have numerous professionals that are involved in making sure that
the majority of the time when a mental health an individual who has a mental health issue and they're not on medication, they are most of the time self-medicating. Just so
Right.
and there's where you get into additional problems with the use of illegal substance and usually committing crimes to get the illegal substance.
Mhm.
So the mental health issue multiplies the other issues that they can get into.
Yeah, and I mean, there are numerous situations where we don't have a diagnosis. I mean, I am not a trained professional, but I've had clients come to my office where there's obviously some mental health issue going on. I don't, I'm not going to diagnose, but recommend that we see a professional to get a diagnosis. And the same thing's going to happen in mental health court. I mean, it's a multidiscipline team. So you start from the diagnostic process, figure out what the issue is, what is the treatment regimen, and then move on. Get to drug testing and the life skills, all the way up. Start the life skills if that is a necessary path.
I think Alex has got a great question here, Justin.
Mhm.
There are some that would say that they shouldn't be in court for a victimless drug offense to begin with. What's your position on that?
For clarity, Alex, are you asking me, am I like anti or pro drug laws? The fact of the matter is, possession of drugs is a crime in the state of Georgia. It's getting decriminalized depending on locality. With marijuana, but even though it is victimless, nobody's hurt if it's just straight drug use. But I mean, you have the drug trade itself that uh, causes harm to the community. I mean, there are fights.
You still have to obtain the drugs.
Yeah, you got to, and somebody is providing the drugs and turf spats. People die in the drug trade every day, and so it's not truly victimless. I mean, once it gets to the end user, potentially yes, but what the person is not a productive member of society if they're in the throes of drug dependence, and they get into a motor vehicle and go barreling down the street, pass out at the wheel, and kill somebody. What if they're pregnant and there's drug dependency? And so now the child is born with drug dependence. And so that is a cost. So I don't think that drug use is truly victimless 100% of the time.
And I think he's got a follow up. Do you think the laws are good the way they are, or they should be more progressive?
I've already not agreed with the premise that drug use is entirely victimless. I think there should be a prohibition of, especially truly dangerous drugs, amphetamines, narcotics that being illegally distributed. That's it. The use can harm other members of the community and as a community as a whole. I mean, it harms productivity. It gets people on the roads that are under the influence of drugs. It destroys families. Uh, People, whether it's alcohol use, overindulgence, or drug use, that's it, it harms families, tears families apart. Children wind up in the care of the state. Could be in DFACS care or be in the care of a family member that is not a parent. So people are harmed by drug use, and so I don't have a problem with punishing drug users who won't willingly enroll in an accountability court to stop the underlying drug issue, to seek the help necessary to stop that criminality.
So Catherine Lynn makes a comment here, and this is troubling to me, Justin. Just to be honest with you. So
Sure.
Catherine says that I was physically attacked by a man who was high on meth on my own property, and he got drug court. So it was not always victim. He got nothing for the battery charges, and that's where I told you I don't agree. If there are charges other than, I don't agree with not getting something for the battery. I mean, I don't think they should be eligible for accountability courts.
Sure. And I don't know the circumstances of that particular case. I don't, I mean, be something I looked into. In general, they're not violent crimes are not eligible for accountability courts. I don't know the nature of the injury that she sustained, but I can't talk about an individual case. I just can tell you in general that violent crimes are not eligible for accountability courts. If this were, I mean, if you were high on methamphetamine and, just out of his mind, hallucinate, whatever it may have been that put him in that situation, uh, does he have a history of just drug charge, drug charge, drug charge, drug charge, and would he benefit from going through the treatment regimen? And is there a ton of uh, probation hanging over his head if he doesn't successfully complete the program? As I told you, a very short leash, and read that person the riot act. It's like, look, if you don't get through this accountability court program, if you don't successfully complete it, you have however many years, 15 years hanging over your head that we can revoke. Like, we are taking a chance on you as a participant in this program, and if you step out of line the least bit, there's a significant amount of time that can be ripped from you, that can be revoked from you because of this being a special condition of your probation.
So Corliss mentioned something here, Justin. So I guess she learned this at the last forum, that magistrate court does not have jury trials.
They don't.
So it's just the judge rendering a verdict.
That's correct.
Okay. Interesting. So, and then we did have someone have another question, right? And they said, that they wanted you to actually talk about your platform and why you should be elected. And we're 40 minutes in. So I think we can shift off accountability, Justin, and actually talk a little bit about why you should be elected to the bench.
Sure. So, as I've said in many forums, that to preside over a case, you need to have tried a case. And I have 16 years of actual trial experience. I've been practicing in Rockdale County since 2009. Rockdale County is my home. It's where I was born and raised. It's where I came back to work. It's where I'm raising a family. My wife's a teacher in Rockdale. I have 2 children that are students in Rockdale County Public Schools, and I want my community to be safe. I have practiced in criminal defense and in civil law and in civil litigation, and it's a wide swath of the types of cases that I've taken and that I've handled. I've handled family law, criminal defense, property disputes, motor vehicle accidents and personal injury, landlord-tenant issues. I practice in probate court, magistrate, state, superior court in Rockdale County, and in just about every court in every surrounding county. So my platform is that I am the only candidate that is truly qualified to immediately step on the bench upon election, because I have actual trial experience. If you look me up, you'll see numerous cases that I've tried. I've tried criminal jury trials, civil jury trials, numerous bench trials, from family law to, as I said, any sort of civil litigation. So I come with experience necessary to immediately preside over difficult cases. Now, the State Court of Rockdale County is going to handle the criminal component is traffic offenses and misdemeanors. The civil cases are going to be really anything involving a money dispute. So motor vehicle accidents, contract disputes, anything where the end result is a money judgment. What the state court is designed to do is take some of the burden off the superior courts to handle the cases that only a superior court can, or it's going to be writs, suits in equity, felonies, family law, land disputes, divorces, those type cases that take up a tremendous amount of the superior court's time. Now, I've handled all those types of cases before and done many jury trials on those type of cases. Certainly would be able to handle the easier cases up in state court. So what I've said in the past is that if you find yourself in a courtroom, you're probably not having a good day. About the only exception is an adoption. But if you find yourself in state court, either you're having to sue somebody suing you, or you have found yourself in trouble, and the state is brought charges against you. What I assure you that when you come into my courtroom, if I am elected, is that you will leave it feeling respected, feeling heard, feeling considered. And I've been in so many courtrooms across the state that I've seen good judges and I've seen bad judges. And the judges who want to step in and take over the case, not let litigants speak or be heard, that's not the type of judge that I want to be, because I've seen that it doesn't work. All it leads to is ill feelings of litigants leaving the courtroom and anger in the hallways. That's, even though you may not prevail in your case in front of me, you are going to leave that courtroom feeling heard and understand why it is that you didn't prevail. Now, the Corliss brought up a point about the jury trial. No jury trial is a magistrate court. I think everybody knows who's been following this election that my opponent is a magistrate court judge. And I have practiced in front of her, and I think she is a fine magistrate court judge. However, what I cannot find is any jury trial experience in Rockdale County, Gwinnett County. I can't see where she has actually handled, as a practicing attorney, a jury trial case anywhere around here that she says she's practiced. I have. It takes practice as an attorney in a jury trial to be able to preside over a jury trial. I bring that experience, and I humbly ask for your vote on May 19th.
So Alex has another question, and I don't think it's a real question because I know the joke. So the only question I have left is, how well versed are you in bird law? And if you get that reference, you have my full support. So Alex, I will let you know it is always sunny in Rockdale County. Do you know the joke he's referring to?
I wish I did, but I don't.
So Alex, if I was running for judge, I would have your endorsement because I know the joke. So, oh my God, Alex, that's ridiculous. So, but yeah, okay. Let's see. So Vukaru says, if Larry gets in trouble, please take care of him. Ms. Russo, are you saying there's a possibility that I may get in trouble? Or is that what you're saying, that I could get in trouble? And then Angela Moore says head tilt. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. Let's see here. I want to see. So, okay. In your year, okay, Kathy Kendrick has a question. In your years of experience in the courtroom, have you ever considered that the law is sometimes overlooked by a judge who overlooks facts and bases decisions on personal opinion? And will you?
I mean, truly, I don't think I've come across a judge who just willfully ignores the law. I mean, have they mistaken the law and thought that they knew it? Yes, that's happened. And, I have been in situations where, especially one that immediately comes to mind is a temporary protective order that you can't, a judge can't sign an order that prohibits both parties from having contact with one another. It can only be in favor of the petitioner unless the defendant has also filed a counter petition for a TPO. It's a weird nuance of the temporary protective order that, I've had judges that have done the mutual restraining orders when it wasn't procedurally appropriate to do so. But when I bring it up, when I think that's going to be an issue, I've had the law in front of me and the judge reverses course. So look, judges are human. I mean, I don't know any who just flagrantly disregard the law. But it's the attorney's job to make sure that the judge is fully versed on the law as applicable to the case. So if there has been deviation from established law, I'd put part of that on the attorneys as well for not having, not being fully versed and not giving the entirety of the body of law on that topic to the court.
So Corliss has a good question, Justin. If someone appears before you, what would you do?
recuse myself.
That's the right answer, Justin.
And imagine that I will possibly have to do that a lot because I've been in this community a while. But the folks I know in general, they lead good, clean lives. So hopefully, won't be seeing them in a criminal context.
Clayton, I don't know how to take this. Clayton says I could certainly be a victim in front of you, Justin. I don't know how to take that. And then Kathy Kendrick did come back and say, "I've known you for years. I've never seen you not follow the law in your advice, and I support you fully." And Corliss did say, "Good answer." So I think Justin. I think and then there's always Larry. Oh my God.
I neglected to tell you that, getting back to accountability courts, that the programs are designed for high risk, high need individuals. So the reduced recidivism rates truly do have a direct impact on the community. These are folks who are deeply entrenched in some issue that qualifies them for accountability court. If they successfully get through it, I mean, it's a huge impact on the community.
Okay, and I think he's got a good question, Ray. Alex does. So judges are human, raises a philosophical one for me. You'll be in a position to lock people up for a year. How do you think that will affect you the first time?
I am not in this because I just want to put somebody in jail.
Well, I know, but I think his question is, you're a human, and the first time you're going to sentence somebody, how will that impact you? And you're going to put them away.
Sure, but it's every case is unique, and so putting somebody behind bars is not something that I will take lightly. I mean, I'm not going to put somebody in jail for going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. A first-time DUI carries mandatory jail time, but when we're getting up to sentencing somebody for 12 months, we're talking about a pretty egregious act that's taken place. I mean, we're dealing with family violence, battery. Has somebody beaten their wife, and is there a pattern that this is taking place? Wife or husband, excuse me, beating their spouse, and is this behavior that is taking place over numerous times? This is just the first time that the person has been charged and convicted. So you got to remember, when it gets to the sentencing stage, there has been a conviction either by a plea of guilty or a jury has determined that person to be guilty. So will I take it lightly? Absolutely not. But if in my sound judgment, based on the facts that were presented and the finding of guilt, if it is necessary for the protection of the victim in that case and the community to put somebody behind bars for 12 months, I'll do it. And in terms of effect on me, I'll come back and sit on the bench the next day and do it again if I have to, if the facts warrant that decision to be made.
Yeah, and I think Renee put a good thing up. It's not you putting them away; it's the crime they committed that causes the jail time.
Right, and every defendants that come through, they're not going to be the end product of some formulaic approach on time. I mean, everybody who comes before that court needs to be considered individually.
Yep, I agree with that. Well, Justin, it's 8:52, and we are approaching the witching hour of. This is a good question. What's the most time that a state court judge can sentence someone to?
Be 12 months.
12 months, okay.
For misdemeanors.
Yep, 12 months. So there we go. So, Justin, we've been on about an hour. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think you've answered questions well. You came back and talked about the accountability court. I think the people got a chance to ask you a lot of questions, and you ran from nothing, and we ran from no question. So let's go ahead and give your last spiel to the folks out there, and then we'll sign off.
All right. Well, I already talked about my platform. and why I'm the most qualified. So I'll keep it brief, and especially this being the second time that I've been on your show this election cycle. First, Larry, thank you very much for having me the first time and giving me the opportunity to come back the second time and answer some questions that were left unanswered before. Again, I am Justin Kinney, lifelong resident of Rockdale. I want to serve my community. I want to serve my home, make it safe for my family and yours. I believe that I am the most qualified to step in that role. And I humbly ask for your vote on May 19th, on Tuesday. The polls are open until 7 o'clock. You need to go to your designated precinct. If you don't know where that is and you are registered to vote, you can go to my voter page, the Secretary of State's website, find out where your precinct is. Again, I appreciate your consideration and your vote, and hopefully I can serve you as Rockdale County's next Associate State Court Judge.
Jennifer Thomas did have a thing. She wanted to know, what about felonies, Justin? So why don't you quickly answer that about the felonies?
Sure. State court does not have jurisdiction over felonies. I would never see one unless I was somehow appointed to sit by designation by a Superior Court judge. But in general, I have no jurisdiction over felonies.
99.9% of the time, you would only rule over misdemeanors unless for some reason somebody removed themselves from something and you got a temporary bump of duty.
Correct.
Right. So Jennifer, we hope that answers your question. And also, Phoenix Kinney wishes he could vote for you, Justin, and he wanted his mom to say that.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised. I'm surprised he's not advocating for a writing.
Well, because Phoenix has been sentenced to hard time before by Judge Kinney. So we all know that, right? So
yes, sir.
Cool. Well, guys, that wraps this show up, but I will be back tomorrow night with another judge candidate. I'll be back tomorrow night with Clarence Cuthbert running for Superior Court judge. So there's a couple of things that Judge Cuthbert wants to talk about tomorrow night that he didn't get to discuss the first go around. So we will bring him in tomorrow night, let him do that. And then you know what, guys? Then it's off to Tuesday and it's off to Election Day. And it's up for you all to decide the outcome of these races. And I'm excited to find that out. So you guys tune back in here tomorrow at 8 p.m. It'll be our last candidate series. And then just to let you know, I do plan on having some exciting must-watch Speak Your Mind shows coming up. It's going to be a combined series of Speak Your Mind and This Week in Rockdale. Alex McDonald and I will be doing a series of shows on data centers where we will have experts in different fields. We will be interviewing them, and we will be digging into the truths, the falsehoods, and the myths behind data centers. We're going to let you know what the true dangers are, what the made-up dangers are, and then just pure things that are made up, and some things that are true that are hidden. So we are going to do a deep dive into data centers, especially since they're a hot topic here in Rockdale County and the state of Georgia and everywhere in the United States. So that's it for tonight. Justin, if you hang on afterwards, we're doing it there. So I will not be doing an election show. Lisa, I'm going to be at the Board of Elections, getting those results firsthand. I may come on live from there and share some results, but I will not do an election show. I'm going to be at the Board of Elections. So good night, everybody. And